Welcome. Today we're going to be going over Albion's music lover, Luna, and her backstory and all of her lore. Now, I will quickly say that I do not have her ultimate version yet, so any gameplay you see is just going to be on default Luna, and I do apologise about that. I haven't really been playing much the last couple of weeks due to a plethora of games coming out, so I've just been a bit preoccupied. Anyway, let's begin. It starts with a quote. Music is the only dessert allowed in Albion. This is a familiar phrase to anyone living in Albion. In resource-poor Albion, even making small candies required a formal permit because ingredients were scarce enough to make even essential foodstuff. However, there was no such restriction on music. There was no regulation to listen to only one song, nor was there an allocation to sing only one song. Music was an unrestricted dessert allowed in Albion. In that sense, Luna was the perfect dessert. I'm sure some of you watching this agree with that. When Luna, an excellent singer, began to sing, her listeners felt refreshed and their sweet tooth satisfied. Her voice gave them joy when they were depressed, and her whispering music had a tremendous concentration effect when they wanted to be calm. In Albion, Luna's music was almost like an indispensable consumer product. Her talent piqued the interest of the HQ and the Magisters for it to be dismissed as a simple talent. There were far too many reports of unusual observances within the area stability of Luna's residential area being way above average, or the security forces patrolling that area experiencing a significant increase in their combat capabilities. These results led to HQ to assume that Luna possessed Arche, and they initiated an investigation. But it hit a stumbling block from the start. First, human resources officers had an escort unit were sent to bring Luna into the HQ. However, Luna was displeased with the military personnel who were interrupting her performance, so she incapacitated them by singing a song that bordered on screaming. Most of the soldiers reeled in shock, and some even became deaf for a time. Eventually, Luna was subdued and she underwent an Arche test, which revealed that she was a descendant with the Arche power to manipulate sound waves at will. In particular, when a research on the sonic waves of Luna's songs found that a certain range of frequencies responded to the Arche of other people, the HQ began to come up with numerous hypotheses for tactical use. Clearly, Luna's abilities were highly tactical. The problem was Luna's behaviour on the day she was sent into the battle in a team after officially completing her Descendant training. The reactions of other Descendants upon their return were less than favourable. Her volatile mood swings and unpredictable behaviour were the cause. In addition, her habit of dancing to loud music, even during the meetings of the command staff, started to stress Nell and Enzo out. And so Alpha's concerns for Luna, the unpredictable troublemaker, grew deeper by the day. But Luna could not be dismissed so easily. Every Descendant was important to the HQ, and they couldn't afford to let go of Luna, who had the ability to consistently enhance the combat capabilities of others. Ultimately, Alpha took extraordinary action. With a quote, "Luna Swift, you're hereby assigned to the Descendant Corps, but I'm giving you a special mission to avoid being constrained by any operation. Feel free to sing and dance, but there is one condition. Go out into the battlefield and sing for your allies. That way, you will receive the adulations of your comrades who recovered after listening to your singing, and it may even turn our enemies, the Vulgus, into the audience." What do you think? Is this the debut she heard so much about? Luna, who was the only dessert allowed in Albion, now had an opportunity to step outside of Albion and become the star of Ingress. There was no reason to refuse. Overjoyed and excited, she eagerly accepted Alpha's offer. Cool beans, the whole of Ingress is my show now. It actually says it's my stage now. I messed up there. Yeah. Anyway, that is her whole backstory. It is a pretty lengthy one. I think probably one of the longest ones in the game. She does have something for her gun. And then I will go through her ultimate and I'll go through her story briefly. Now, I don't really want to talk too much about what goes on in her story because I want to leave that to the players, but I will highlight the important things, and I'll get through that next, and then I'll go to her ultimate last. So, Next, it says on her gun, it says the Magisters built Luna a special suit and speakers with controls to keep her sound waves from reaching a range that would harm her allies. Unsatisfied with the lack of an instrument, Luna started to disobey orders, resulting in the suit's controls malfunctioning and Luna becoming completely out of control. Horrified at the possibility of their eardrums exploding, the Magisters calmed Luna down and began working on a new design immediately, with the primary goal of making it look as instrumental as possible. The development process was faster than ever, driven by the Magisters' desire to keep their eardrums. Luna's unique weapon, the synthesizer gun, was designed to calculate any similar music Luna sang to the according equation and to amplify her arcade the more she concentrated. Luna found it fascinating that this simple instrument responded to the different songs she sang, and that she was delighted that the more that she focused on the stage, the more her abilities bloomed. After receiving the synthesizer gun, Luna left the lab smiling brightly, as she always did. A nice and simple description. It's, not too adventurous, not too crazy. I am a fan of it. Nice and bloody simple. To quickly go through what happens in her ultimate story, and again, I'm going to be doing this from memory, so give me a bit of leeway. What I remember is she is losing her hearing from constantly playing music, and her ears are getting worse and worse and worse, and the only way that she could fix this was one of two ways. Either she cancelled an upcoming show that she had, or she formed a new band. So, not wanting to cancel her show, she goes ahead and forms a new band. Well, tries to, because she needs descendants, or her arcade can bounce through. So, she goes ahead and she starts to look around Albion for people who have musical talent. This ends up being Haley, who is pretty fucking good on the piano from what I've read, what is pretty cool. I'm happy for that, for Haley. There's a whole thing with her, again, I don't want to spoil too much in case you haven't played it, or you plan to play it, or you're watching this to catch up a bit on her, I don't know, but stuff goes on there. She meets the other two band members, again, I don't want to say, because it's quite, important to the story, but by the end of it, she's realised that there's this person, this Vulgus, that is imitating people's voices, and she thinks, you know what, we need to do something about this guy. She runs off and tries to kill him because, this guy's causing problems. However, her ears keep getting worse, and worse. She heads over there. She kills this person and eventually collapses. Her ears, I don't know what happens to them, but, she's fucked up. Then, thinking this is it for her, she suddenly wakes up in Albion, confused, dazed, and wondering again, where is she? She goes ahead and she talks to another descendant, again, won't spoil who they are because it's pretty cool. And this descendant says to her that they got the Magisters to rewire the ultimate suit they're working on for him, for Luna, so that she can be, ultimate, I guess, but more specifically, so that she can, continue living. It's nice and simple. Anyway, so the ultimate background goes as: the Ultimate Descendant project refers to a plan in which either the ancestors' technology and the equipment found throughout Ingress or their special arcade genes are refined to suit the characteristics of active descendants, then applied to them. The ultimate goal being to enhance all descendants to reflect the ancestors, the powerful predecessors of humanity. There's a quote from Luna. But there couldn't have been an ancestor like me, right? Luna's indifferent reaction to the Ultimate project was enough to make Aeneas shake her head in dismay. Luna was certainly not wrong. If there had been an arcade user like her among the ancestors, they would have definitely left behind legendary folk songs, not ultimate technology. Luna's arcade is unique and unprecedented, and because of that, there were lots of difficulties to deal with developing basic equipment with specifications to fit Luna, let alone ultimate gear. This probably also caused the arcade sonic resonance accumulated in her body. Luna's sonic waves were in the form of soliton waves, I don't know how to say that avoided collapse by colliding with nearby arcade particles. The problem was that these waves had been steadily accumulating in Luna's body. The sonic arcade gave Luna power, but Wielding it steadily consumed her. It was as if she was music herself being consumed. Luna's body was turning into a balloon filled with music that could burst at any moment, but the passionate artist had no intention of stopping. Even in the face of death, maybe the world would respond to her passion. Luna's salvation was unexpectedly close. It was in the form of ultimate form for Blank that was still in development. Blank's ultimate, which was being developed with specifications for Blank Warfare, was equipped with technology that could manipulate minute radio waves at the quantum level. Using this, it was possible to electronically stabilize Luna's sonic RK waves and prevent her from joining the 27 Club. Equipment can be remade, but the legendary artists who did not even exist in the days of the ancestors are not even so easy to come by. Blank's logic chose Luna's sensibility, and this kind-hearted, terror-loving young man ultimate equipment was modified to fit Luna's specification and became fully operational. Luna's new performance will be showcased on a Albion stage throughout Ingress and various void locations. Ticket availability is extremely limited, but if you're a Vulgus or a Colossus, there is no need to worry. Luna will always have room for enemies in her front row. I kind of ruined who the person was there. It is what it is, but if you know, you know. If you don't, then you don't. Anyway, talking about her new equipment, aptly titled New Crescent. Originally developed for electronic warfare equipment for Blank, the ultimate project underwent a change in development direction and was completed in its current form to help Luna, who is suffering from accumulated sonic damage. The Acer RK electronically scanned array antenna, initially installed for fine wave adjustment, can now neutralizes soliton waves by electronically stabilizing Luna's RK. It has achieved dramatic performance improvements, including the amplification of her own RK by receiving a wider range of people's air quotes emotions. Then there's a quote by somebody else who, again, I don't want to listen. I don't want to say because it's by the person who helped her. I also want to say emotions at the end there is in air quotes. I don't know what they mean by that, and yeah. Anyway, so I'm just quickly looking through Luna's section on for her story, and there's not really worth anything else mentioning. I might have missed something throughout all the records in the game. I do have all of them, I think, other than 3, but I don't really want to look through all of them, and I think all of them are typically just all of them are base game characters, I believe, and then they have a couple of added ones. There's got this one of Serena where she's fucking all sad and stuff. But yeah, that is pretty much all of her lore. This is probably going to be a longer video because there's so fucking much of Luna lore. So if you managed to watch it all the way through, I really, really appreciate it. And if you could leave a little like or a comment or something saying that you watched it all the way through, that would mean a lot to a man. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!